Good morning and welcome to a Realtor Safety focused, member focused Monday. I'm Christina Schaefer, Director of Social Media for HAR. Before we start today's show, I do want to mention that today's Member Focus Monday is sponsored by Ellison, a new home community in Katy ISD. Ellison is a rewarding place for your clients with beautiful homes and resort-style amenities, and it's also rewarding for agents with an incentive program and dedicated agent liaison who's available to answer any questions. Visit ellison.com to learn more about the community or stop by the Welcome Center for a tour. For today's show, we do have two guests this morning. We have Tracey, the safety lady Hawkins, who's in the green room right now and will join us momentarily. But here with me now, we also have Helen Hudson, CEO and founder of the SafeShowings app. Welcome, Helen.
Thank you, Christina. It's my pleasure to be here with you.
Thank you so much for taking the time to join us this morning. You have some exciting news for our members, which we'll get to in a little bit. But if we could, just to get started, if you could tell our members a little bit about who you are and what you do.
Absolutely. Prior to becoming a realtor 4 years ago, my background was in transportation and logistics sales. I worked for companies like UPS for about 25 years. And then about 4 years ago, I wanted to check off the bucket list and move to Charleston, South Carolina, and get my real estate license. So that's kind of a little bit of background of where I am and where I've been.
Very good. So tell us a little bit about SafeShowings. We see the banner behind you back there, SafeShowings. So what is SafeShowings?
Yeah, the name is pretty much what it does. It helps realtors be in control of their personal safety. It's an app that I created that can deter crime before it starts, because that's what's most important when we're working with strangers every day, is that we take control of our safety and we be proactive to deter crime.
So what prompted you to create the SafeShowings app?
3.5 years ago, I was showing property. I had had my license for about 6 months, and I was working on a team. Like most new realtors, we get internet leads, and I set the appointment to meet the buyer at the property on a Saturday at 2. But when I drove up to the neighborhood, the hair on the back of my neck stood up. It just didn't feel like a safe area. But I parked my car, waited for the buyer to arrive, and when he arrived to the property, we went into the home, and I left the door open because I was already nervous. He went to the back of the house, he got on his cell phone, and a minute later, a truck drove up. 2 men jumped on the porch. That's when my heart stopped. I thought, oh my gosh, nobody knows where I am or who I'm with. And I'll never forget that feeling of fear. Thankfully, though, I'm here to tell the rest of the story. I was lucky. I was given a second chance. What happened was they rode by, they saw the for sale sign, they saw my car with a realtor magnet, they saw the door was open, and they thought it was an open house.
Yeah.
But I regained my composure, gave him my card, told him I was working with a buyer and to call me for an appointment. But I left that situation knowing that I had to look at my personal safety different. And that's what inspired me to create SafeShowings.
Well, I'm glad you're here today to tell us the story, and it does sound like a close call, and unfortunately, sometimes that's what it takes for us to realize that we need to take our safety very seriously. So I want to learn a little bit more about the SafeShowings app. So what features are available in the SafeShowings app for realtors?
What's most important to me is that I teach realtors, from my experience, to be in control from the front end. It actually starts before you meet the buyer. You're on the phone and you say, hey, I look forward to meeting you Saturday at 2. But I want you to know that I care about safety. My association does as well. We use an app called SafeShowings. It's just the world we live in. So when I meet you Saturday at the property, I'll be taking a secure image of your face before we go in the property. That way, you're in control of your safety before you ever meet a buyer. You're telling them that you care about safety, and a sincere buyer is not going to push back on that. And we all know we work with lots of buyers today, and it's good if anyone does push back. It could be what saves your life. What some of the features are that our app does is it takes a secure image of a face. And when I gave this presentation to the chief of police here in Charleston, he said, you're making our job so much easier because you're taking an image of a face. So by telling each buyer that you have to be in control of your safety and this is what you're going to do, you're going to deter crime before it starts. It does have the feature also for open houses. And I teach realtors the same thing. When you greet buyers at the door, you meet them at the front door. Hey, y'all are welcome to come inside. I just want you to know that the homeowner has required that I be accountable for who I allow in their home.
Mm-hmm.
So I need to get an image of your face. And I hold up the phone and take an image. And you can actually do a group shot if you want. The key is to be consistent and to let every buyer know that you're in control of safety. Because the 200 realtors that have been murdered that weren't so lucky as I was, I guarantee you if they were here today to speak to us, they would tell you they did not know they were working with a criminal and they did not expect to lose their life.
Yeah, absolutely. And we're going to get into, again, we have Tracey, the safety lady in the green room. We'll speak with her in a little bit about some other tips for realtors and things that you should be doing out in the field to stay safe. But to talk to our members a little bit more about Safe Showings, how can they access Safe Showings?
Easy. We have a link for Houston. You'll be receiving a link after this meeting, or maybe towards the end of it. It might actually be in the presentation. I think they're teeing it up for you, but it's a custom link for your association. So all of you can access the paid for version. You don't have to spend a penny. Your association has invested in your safety. They're being proactive and telling you they care about your safety. One other feature I want to touch on that I didn't mention, if something happens and you're attacked and you're using our Safe Showings app, your 3 emergency contacts will get a link of your exact location, who you're with, and an image of the buyer's face. So all that is sent. It's built into our app. It goes to our cyber secure cloud. If your phone is destroyed, you're still going to be protected. So we're excited to be a partner of yours. We'll be sending a monthly newsletter on to your association so they can forward to you. That gives you some more information of how to access the link if you need it again. And it also has safety tips that we like to share with you as well.
Wonderful. And thank you so much, Helen, for working with us. This is something our members have been asking for a long time, is a safety app, and we're happy to work with you to provide this resource. So we did share that link in the chat for our members, and you heard it here first. You can start accessing Safe Showings right away. So please take a look at that link after we're done here with today's show. So again, thank you, Helen, for working with us on that, because that's going to be a huge benefit for our members. Just out of curiosity, what kind of feedback are you getting from realtors who have already utilized the Safe Showings app?
Everyone is excited about it because our world is not as safe as it used to be, and it just gives you empowerment to be able to know that you're in control of your safety. You're not just showing up without a plan, you're being proactive. So I'm hearing a lot of good feedback. I'll be at the NAR show. If anyone comes to that, please come by our booth. We always have a drawing, but it's my honor to be a partner of yours and to deter crime before it happens.
Very good. Thank you so much. And where can realtors, I know we already provided a link to a video. Are there any other resources, or, do you need training to use the app? Is it easy to use?
Oh, that's a great question. I'm the average age of a realtor, and I'm not the smartest person with technology. I had an idea for an app, but I had to pay for developers to create it. If you can push buttons, you can use our app, but we do have tutorials as well. I have 2 different videos, and they're both on our website, SafeShowings.com. Mm-hmm. One last thing I want to say, make sure you use the link that's provided. If you do go to the App Store to download the app, that's when you have to pay for it. Mm-hmm. So sometimes that slips through the crack, and people do go to the App Store, and we'll unregister you if that happens. But okay. Saying the way to get the paid for version is here in the link that's provided. Okay.
Yes. Thank you. Okay. Very good. And again, we did share the link to the YouTube video that Helen mentioned in the chat. So be sure to take a look at that. I don't see any questions for you yet, Helen. Helen will be back towards the end of the show to offer some final thoughts. But if you have questions, she will be back a little bit later. But for now, Helen, thank you so much for sharing. Our members are thanking you, saying this is going to be an amazing resource. So they're really excited. So again, thank you for sharing that information with us.
It's my honor. Thank you so much for listening and partnering with us.
Absolutely. So we're going to get ready to bring Tracey, the safety lady, on with us this morning. Welcome, Tracey. Sorry about that. Welcome.
Thank you.
So, Tracey, you have actually been on our program before, and we thank you so much for taking the time to join us again. But if you could, for any members who don't know who you are yet, if you could tell us a little bit about who you are and what you do.
Sure. I am Tracey Hawkins, and as you said, Tracey, the safety lady. I am a former real estate agent, and after a while, I decided that just wasn't for me. So I got into the safety business. I started selling safety and security products. I went to the police academy to learn how to use pepper spray, and then I decided I needed to talk. I'm a natural talker. And so I started speaking locally here in the Kansas City area. And then the next thing I know, I was speaking across the country. There are not a lot of people who do what I do. I literally live and breathe real estate safety. I never stop. I research, I do this, I know the stories, I create content. I am a writer for the National Association of Realtors, Realtor magazine. As a matter of fact, I had the most read story of the year back in 2017. I write for The Close now. And speaking of Helen, if you go to The Close and you search safety, you'll see my articles. And I also talk about 9 safety apps. Her app is on there. So I got an opportunity to interview her and talk to her about the app. I've contributed to Risk Media. I'm the go-to safety expert for Inman. So I have a platform and I use it every opportunity I can to educate real estate agents on living and working safely.
And you really do. I mean, Tracey doesn't just say that. She pays attention to everything that's going on and what's going on at the local associations. When there was something that happened in Houston, I think it was last year. I remember, Tracey, you emailed me and wanted some details about it. And so she does really pay attention to what's going on with realtors and different issues that may arise that realtors should be aware of. So just kind of getting started here, Tracey, why do you find that realtors tend to be targeted so much?
And before I answer that, I want to make sure I let people know that I'm going to be speaking at the National Association of Realtors Conference in November. So please come see me. I'm going to be talking about lessons learned about crimes against agents. So the question is, why are real estate agents targeted so much? And I hate to say this, but I must be realistic. Criminals look for an easy target. And unfortunately, real estate agents fit the bill. When the National Association of Realtors did their member safety report, over 71% of the agents said that they had no safety training at all. And so often what I hear agents say is, oh, that's common sense, or I know it. And that's where I say, time out. That's when you rely on an expert. And I must commend the Houston Association of Realtors. You all partnered with me this year, and each quarter we've done a safety program, and I've written an article. So the safety content is there, and you all, I have to say, of all the associations that I've worked with, you guys are right up near the top. You take safety seriously. And the fact that you have the app that Helen is talking about today, as well as the one that Taki created, you all are really serious about agent safety. So my goal is to make agents not look like an easy target, and I do that with training. And the bigger challenge, I think, is to get agents to show up for training. And after I had an education director say that agents will not show up for training unless you're teaching them how to make more money, then I had to put on my thinking cap. It's like, how do I make safety profitable? And that's actually the class that I'm going to be conducting with the Houston Association of Realtors this month in recognition of Real Estate Safety Month. I teach real estate agents not only how to live and work safely, make it home every night, but how to add value to the relationship with the consumer. That's the buyer, that's the seller, and even the FSBO. So I am teaching agents how to make more money being safer by keeping them safe. And that's using marketing materials that I've created that you're going to use in your business, and then you're going to use to show the consumer that you care about their safety. And that's an ongoing conversation. So that's what I think, that education truly is the answer. And when agents hear the stories that have happened, and there have been 4 stories in the past 2 months, including 2 agents who have been shot, including an agent who has been killed, including an agent who has been robbed at gunpoint and had his car stolen. When agents know that those stories are happening, they're more likely to pay attention. So I think an educated agent is less of a target.
Absolutely. We definitely agree. What do you believe is the biggest threat to realtors right now, just at the moment?
I want to say being oblivious to the fact that it can happen. And during the pandemic, agents had to take a turn and learn how to work virtually. And working virtually is something that I had preached for a long time about doing your first meetings virtually, because of course that's the absolute safest way to do it. But of course there was resistance and pushback because you didn't have to do it. So when the pandemic hit and everyone was on lockdown, in order to stay in business, real estate agents had to implement virtual showings, virtual open houses. So I was ecstatic and I was hopeful that that would continue. And as a matter of fact, I wrote an article for The Close about the pandemic safety practices that agents need to keep. And that includes the showing. So making yourself less accessible is key. But one thing that I realized as a former agent and having a sister who is an agent is that if I tell agents don't hold an open house by yourself or don't do a showing by yourself, it's in one ear and out the other ear. So what I had to do is I had to find a way to make it realistic. Having walked in your shoes, I had to find a way, understanding that you are commission salespeople, to tell you how to do that in a safe manner. And regarding the safe showings, everyone has a new agent in their office who would love to tag along. And there truly is safety in numbers, and criminals truly don't want witnesses. That's the beauty of Helen's app, the SafeShowings app, is it creates witnesses, and criminals don't want witnesses. So that's another layer to the safety. If you say we need to meet in advance, whether, let's jump on a Zoom or FaceTime call, ideal. But if that's not you and you're not going to do it, no matter what I say, then I say meet in public. And there are some who say meet at a coffee house, and I say no. That's not good enough. If you meet in a busy coffee house, it doesn't accomplish what you need it to accomplish. If something goes wrong, you need the person behind the counter to be able to identify you. And if it's a busy coffee shop, they won't. So if it's a coffee shop where you are known, that's great. One of your affiliate partners, I guarantee a title company, an insurance company, a mortgage company would allow you to use their conference room if necessary, if you can't get to your office. But truly having a witness who can identify you, that removes some of the danger, and having someone there with you increases the witness potential. So agents have to put their foot down. Just like Helen said again, she's saying this is part of our safety procedures. And if everyone is saying the same thing, then you don't have to worry about that client going to another agent who won't ask for it. So everyone must say, and I call it my Leading with Safety theme song. Everyone must say, part of my safety protocols require that I do this, or my broker requires this, or my team requires it. And you always talk about your safety, you talk about their safety. Lead with safety.
Very good. So you've already given us a few recommendations, and I know you have classes and classes that you're going to be hosting with HAR as well, but are there any more recommendations for realtors that when, hosting an open house or showing a property?
I talk about layers. So layers would include a safety app, including not only SafeShowings, what Helen created, but also the verified user that the Houston Association created. I remember when Taki first started talking about it, I was intrigued because I had not heard of an app that did what yours does. What I like about your verified user app is that it verifies both parties. So here's the way you approach the client. Your goal is to say, hey, I need to check you out and you need to check me out. We need to both make sure we're legitimate and just to see where we're coming from. So that allows you to open the door. Again, leading with safety. Your conversation is let's both stay safe. So here's a way you can know that I am who I say I am and vice versa. And what I like about it is that it allows you to get the phone number, email address, you get career information, you get to know exactly who you're dealing with. And the bigger picture is if they refuse to share that information with you, that is a red flag. Because if they're legitimate buyers, they're going to have to sit down with a lender and share that information anyway. And what it also does is it compiles public records, government records. It doesn't do a criminal background check, but that's okay. There are apps out there that claim to do criminal background checks, but that's fine. But one thing that they don't do is they don't show convictions. So you're looking at someone who may have gotten away with the crime a million times. But what I like about this app is I guarantee you a criminal is not going to take the time to let you check them out. the way that the Verified User app does. And another tool, another layer, in addition to expert-led education, it scares me when people say we have someone coming in to talk about safety, and it's Susie Q or Susie Smith, and they're reading information or tips that they've pulled from the internet. I truly research. So I like when people say we want to work with experts, which is another reason I really enjoy working with you and Rita. It's safety tools. The National Association of Realtors Member Safety Report said the number one safety tool for real estate agents is pepper spray. It's even higher than firearms. And I started my career selling pepper spray. And again, I am scared when I hear agents say, oh, I've got a spray, I got it from the hardware store, or I got it from online, someone was selling something. It's like, no. This is something that you're counting on to save your life. So I dedicated myself to reopening my safety store. And so I think you can insert the link there. And I plan to become the number one retailer of pepper spray for real estate agents, simply because I've done the vetting, I've done the homework, I know what works, I know the legalities, I know what you need to know. And pepper spray truly does give you back time. Some people are petrified of guns. I am. I won't touch one. But pepper spray, I've carried it for 26 years, never had to use it, but it's good to know it's there. And anyone who's ever been sprayed by pepper spray, you know what it does. Makes the eyes burn in water, makes the person cough and gasp for air. But the key is that it buys you time. So if real estate agents want this to be their number one product, I want you to make sure it's the right formula. And so I've had brokers buy it for everyone in their office. I've had agents buy it. And not only that, but alarms, any kind of safety tool, you need to vet it. So I do talk about that.
Definitely. And I want to get into any other personal safety items that people should carry. But I want to talk a little bit about some of the virtual aspects that have taken place as well. Because we've had many members that have gotten threatening phone calls or lewd phone calls or FaceTimes or pictures. Sometimes it's an email or a text or something like that. What do you recommend that realtors do? They have their phone number out everywhere. There's really no preventing that. So what do you recommend that they do when those things happen?
There are a few things you can do. Number one is stalking is a big deal in the real estate industry. Everywhere I go, everyone I talk to, I hear stories of stalking. So take it seriously. I talk about getting an anonymous phone number, and I've had agents say, why would I get an anonymous phone number? I want to be found. Yes, you want to be found, but what an anonymous phone number does, and that could be a Google number. My fan is blowing my notes everywhere. It could be a Google number, and that's cloud-based. So if someone right now types in your cell phone number, it comes directly to you, your account, whoever's in your household. However, if you have a Google number, a cloud-based phone number, there's no personal information about you at all. So start with that. But you can also have that go directly to your phone, so you don't have to worry about missing any phone calls. So cloud-based anonymous phone number is number one. Number two is to make sure, where was I going with that? I talk too much, sometimes I get ahead of myself. I spoke for 8 hours the other day in Montana, and I think I'm drawing a blank here. But to make sure that report. I can't tell you how many times, and I think that's the reason I reached out to you last year, is I saw the news story that was happening to real estate agents, that an agent had been contacted by someone who was actually targeting agents in Houston, and it turns out 100 agents over the past decade have been targeted. So the number one thing is to report it. So often agents have something that happened, they blow it off, they block the number, and they keep going. That's not the right answer. You mentioned that your PR person, what's his name, Dave?
David, yes.
Right. Okay, so there's two things agents should do. If you get phone calls that are inappropriate and harassing, even if you think they're not right, you need to report it to your leadership at your sales company. And your leadership will report it to the Houston Association of Realtors. The National Association of Realtors has specific information and steps in place before you can broadcast that information. So you cannot say Tom Smith is a predator, here's his picture, because there are liability issues. So agents should know to report it to their leadership and let David handle it based on the NAR guidelines. But you also need to contact law enforcement officials. If you blow it off, and you don't tell law enforcement officials, then they don't know that there may be a track record of someone doing this. Let them do their job. So often we don't want to bother police officers, but that's their job. So let them investigate and determine whether or not there's a crime, and then they will create a report. And once it's a public report, then that information can be publicly shared, but you cannot share personal information. So there are steps you can take.
Absolutely. So report to authorities first, then to your brokerage, as you said, and if there's a need for a safety alert or something to be put out, HAR, we put those out quite frequently, actually. So we talked a little bit about I want to get back to the things that you can carry on you, but we did have a question come in from HAR's President and CEO, Bob Hale. Do you recommend using both apps? So since we now have SafeShowings available for our members, do you recommend also using the verified user tool?
Definitely. Like I said, safety in layers. I recommend expert training like you all have offered, like I am providing to your members. I recommend if you have a self-defense class, don't just take one class, take it over and over. Take more than one class, because one and done is not good enough. With the SafeShowings app, that has its place for in-person meetings, but the very first step is your verified user. As soon as someone calls or expresses interest in looking at a property, and here's the one that most people don't think about, if a seller calls and they want you to list their homes, you need to make sure they're legitimate owners. There are crimes out there where people are impersonating sellers, either to get people, agents, a loan in their house, or even just to get to swindle people, to get you to list the house, or so-called list the house, and get buyers to send money. So by utilizing the verified user app, you're making sure the seller is actually the property owner, and that's another thing that the verified user app confirms, that they're legitimate property owners. So that works both ways. So that's the very first step. And again, if they refuse to give that information to you, then you know not to take step two. But once you take that step, you know who you're working with. You know the property they own. You know their credit information, and you the app has already done the background check as far as who they are, where they work, where they live. So that's step one. And then the Safe Showing app is when you're in person and you want to let them know, hey, as we did on the phone, we do have strong safety procedures. As you can tell, here's the next level. I need to get a picture of you for my files, and that way everyone knows that everything's fine. So definitely incorporate that lead with safety.
Very good. And we did share a link to verified user in the chat. Just to clarify, the Safe Showings app is an app that we shared a link to access that, and the verified user tool can be found in your members only portal. So for HAR members, be sure to go check that out. And the first 5 searches of the verified user tool are free for members, so there's a small fee after that. Very good. So we were talking about personal safety, and again, as personal safety is concerned, you mentioned pepper spray. Is there anything else that realtors should carry to protect themselves?
A lot of agents talk about tasers when they mean stun guns, but that's an area where you need to be careful. A stun gun is a little device about the size of a cell phone, and it has the electricity, the little sizzle, so to speak. The issue with that is you have to be close enough to touch someone. I do not advocate that you be that close. Although if you simply turn it on and someone sees that lightning and they hear the sizzle, that may be enough right there to stop them in their tracks. But you also need to worry about legalities. You need to know whether or not you can legally carry a stun gun. A taser is the shooting device that has a 13-foot copper coil, and you have 2 cartridges, so you have 2 times to get them. The cost of those anywhere $300 to $500 after you get them registered. You have to buy refill cartridges, so that's typically not an everyday item for people. So just like the survey said, the NAR survey said, number 1, pepper spray. That's followed by firearms at 14%. Keep in mind that the National Association of Realtors General Counsel says there are no rules at that level regarding whether or not you can carry firearms. They leave it up to the local level, and I know that because I interviewed them for one of my articles for Realtor magazine, but they leave that up to the local level. So that means if you're an agent and you want to carry a firearm, make sure it's okay with your local association. That would be you. And then also make sure your company allows you to carry a firearm while working. And again, it's not one and done. If you decide that's your weapon, you must you must use it on a regular basis. You must have any safety product, whether it's pepper spray or firearm, or even the SafeShowings app, it must be accessible. If it's in the bottom of your purse, in your car, in a bag somewhere, not going to do you any good. So it must be accessible, and you must practice.
Yeah, so some good points there to make sure that you have layers, as you mentioned, but also that you're practicing. One thing that I have a lot of practice with, Gary Lee said, wasp spray works at a distance of 25 feet. And you're saying no, but yeah.
I simply must stop you. And again, I've been doing this for 26 years, and I consider myself a safety product expert. If you look at a can of wasp spray, the very first thing it says on the warning is that if you use this for any purpose other than its intended purpose, that's a federal crime. But here's what we say: anything, if your safety is in risk, anything goes. Butter knife, baseball bat, anything goes, right? The problem with wasp spray is that we don't know what it does to people. We know what it does to wasps. It attacks their central nervous system. But what does it do to people? We don't know. Does it tickle them? Does it make them giggle? Does it kill them? Does it make them itch? We don't know. And for that reason, wasp spray is a no-go. And the reason people like wasp spray is that it goes a great distance. It shoots up to 20 feet. But again, pepper spray does that too. So the ones you see there, those go up to 16 feet. And the bigger the can, the farther it goes. And I just got back from Montana, and I swore I heard the word bear mace more than I wanted to hear. But that's just proof that pepper spray works. And if wasp spray was so good, every police officer would carry it. They don't. So we need to go with what works. That's why it's important to know the difference between mace, tear gas, and pepper spray. And just to briefly let you know, Mace is a brand name. It's a company. They sell pepper spray. They sell alarms. And for a while there, they even owned a chain of car washes. Tear gas is an antiquated formula. So if you take your pepper spray out and it says CN or CS on the label, get rid of it. It's an antiquated formula. It's a pain inducer. So if someone's under the influence, they won't feel it necessarily, and it may even escalate the attack. What you're looking for is pepper. It'll say OC on the label. So that's the one. Nothing's 100%. Nothing's 100%, but that's the one law enforcement officials as well as postal carriers trust with their lives. It works on people, and it works on dogs, and it's a natural product. It won't cause lasting damage. You also need to make sure it's not expired. They typically have a 2 to 3 year shelf life. If you have the right formula, it's not that the formula goes bad, but the aerosol canister loses pressure over time. So you may go to spray it and nothing will happen. And speaking of pressure, if you leave it in a hot car, first of all, it's not protecting you. And secondly, it's an aerosol canister. I've had a client had their windshield shattered by an exploding pepper spray. So it needs to be with you where you can keep it if you're going to travel. I flew this week and I had to take it out of the case, but I left the case on. So if someone saw me walking around Montana, they saw that pepper spray canister and they knew the case. So keep that in mind.
Very good. Gary, thank you for the clarification. And just for the record, I have only been using wasp spray the way it's intended to be used. So no federal offenses over here.
Good deal.
Very good. Well, I don't see really any questions coming in. A few people are throwing out a few other suggestions. I do want to bring Helen back from the green room because I'd like to hear from both of you ladies, just any final thoughts, anything else that you'd like our members to know. And we can start with you on this one, Helen.
Oh, thank you. I quote myself 3.5 years ago when I was a new realtor. I cared more about the sale than my safety. I'm trying to reverse that mentality for all of us because your life's worth it. Your life matters. So be in control. Buyers will respect you more, and guess what? They're going to remember you when they list their house. If you're afraid that you'll lose a sale by being in control of your safety, that could be what makes you the most vulnerable. So just be in control, be consistent, and as Tracey said, have many layers of things that you do to keep yourself safe. And I'm passionate about the buyer safety, our safety as realtors, and the homeowner. Sometimes we forget our listing clients, how vulnerable they can be because we might be bringing in a criminal to their home, not knowing they're a criminal. So let's be in control, and thank you so much for partnering with us at SafeShowings.
Thank you. Thank you again, Helen. And Tracey.
Education, and dare I say, education. I say lead with safety. That's my theme. I'm a content creator. I'm a writer. That makes me a little different than others who talk about safety. But I have started a subscription service where I give brokers safety tips that they can share with their agents on a regular basis. I provide agents with safety tips to share with the consumer. I want to say the NAR survey said about 18% of the people who buy or sell with an agent won't call them again. And it's not that they're not good agents, it's that they're not top of mind. So I say stay top of mind with safety and information safety education. So that's homeowner safety, auto safety, security, all kinds of safety information. Always lead with safety. And if you're a client, if you're an agent with HAR, if you're coming to the sellers with safety, talking about Helen's app, her idea of saying we want to make sure we know who we're bringing in your house. If you're saying I need with safety sellers, here's the safety security checklist that I created, by the way, for you all to use when you walk in the door to help the sellers keep their homes safe and to keep their possessions inside safe while their house is on the market. If you're talking to the FISBO with the 13 safety tips for FISBOs, that by the time they get to number 13, they're going to be somewhat frightened and say, what am I doing? Let me work with an agent who's been trained. So that's what we're going to talk about in the class. They're going to earn the designation where I teach them to lead with safety, always have a conversation about their safety and your safety. Lead with safety. And my Facebook page, I think you have that link there. It's the safety and security source for real estate. I talk about all of the stories, the crimes against agents that you didn't know were happening. And I also talk about the lessons learned, what we can learn from those so that they don't get repeated. We never blame the victims, but we need to learn. And that's what I'm talking about at the NAR convention, the lessons learned. So join that group so you can stay up to date on all my articles that have been published and just stay in the loop.
Very good. And we did share all of those links in the comments, so be sure to check those out after today's show. Ladies, again, thank you both for, excuse me, for all the information you shared this morning. Our members are thanking you in the comments, saying this was such great info, and they're telling each other to all stay safe. So with that, I do want to remind everyone that today's Member Focus Monday was sponsored by Ellison, a new home community in Katy ISD. They're a rewarding place for your clients with beautiful homes and resort-style amenities, and it's rewarding for agents with an incentive program and a dedicated agent liaison to answer any questions that you may have. You can visit ellison.com to learn more, or just stop by their Welcome Center for a tour. So Helen, Tracey, again, thank you so much for your time this morning. We truly appreciate it.
Thanks to our sponsor for having us here. And don't forget, I'll see you all on the 21st and 22nd. Earn that designation, learn to work safely, and make more money.
Awesome. Thank you so much. But I hope everyone stays safe, especially this week and this month, since it's Realtor Safety Month. But always, we want all our members to stay safe. So stay safe and have a great week. Bye-bye.